Gwen and I'm back today with another scrapbooking process video. Today's share is episode 1 in a brand new collaboration I'm doing with Sue Plum. Sue and I have known each other for years. She's an amazing creative and we thought it would be fun to kick off a monthly scrapbook challenge. So we are going to challenge each other to use a product or a technique on our layout, and then we'll both use both of those things. So we want to try some new techniques, we want to just have a bunch of fun, and we want you to join us along the way. To kick things off, Sue has chosen watercolors. So I am getting messy today, friends, and I chose cut files. And I thought for me, because you will know, if you've known me for a hot minute, you will know that I don't really like messy mixed media. So I'm going to actually watercolor my cut file. To be able to do that, I have cut the design out twice. So the first time just as it is normally, and then the second time I've pulled out in Silhouette Studio, I've removed all the center pieces. So essentially I'm left with this outline shape, and then there's large white areas of pattern paper that I can now add my watercolors to. Now I have gone ahead and added some gesso to the cut file first. I've used clear. I actually prefer it to white gesso because I find that a lot of white gessos aren't true white. So I prefer clear gesso. That's all dry now, and I'm just going ahead and adding some really basic watercoloring. This is a little set from Prima. It's called Pastel Dreams, and I love how soft these colors are. They're right up my alley. And all I'm doing is adding a little bit of water to the section of leaf, just like that. And then going ahead and applying a couple of the tones of pink in the collection. I'm trying really hard not to make it perfect and not to blend it too much. I want it to dry with, what's the word? Like I want it to look imperfect. I want it to dry a little bit patchy, because what I'm going to do is add then the cut file with the holes in it, like the regular design cut file, and I'm going to layer it on top of this piece. So I'm just working section by section, leaf by leaf, and building up the layers. So the first lot of paint that I put on isn't that dark, and it's because I'm cautious. So you can always add more color, but once you put it on, you can't take it away, not easily anyway. So I just find for me that I'm much better off starting with a very pale wash of the paint and then slowly over time building it up until I'm happy. So this is it here. It's all dry now, and I feel like it did actually go a little bit darker once it had dried. I feel like even just looking at it in the video here, it definitely darkened on drying. And I'm going to attach that piece down this side edge, and look how lovely. I feel like this is the perfect blend for me because all of the edges are still nice and clean, and any warping that has happened in the paper has only happened on the cut file itself. My background is still totally flat, which is important to me. I know some of the girls don't mind the warping, but it really bothers me. So I feel like this is a great work around that problem, because the warping is happening on the cut file, but not on the background of the layout, if that makes sense. So it's now time to layer the cut file on top. I am going to offset it slightly so it's not perfectly lined up on purpose. I kind of felt like it was too perfect when it lined up exactly, and I wanted it to have a little bit more movement, a little bit more texture, I guess. So I have offset slightly. I've got my photo ready. It's one of Caitlin that was taken on a little bit of a rainforest walk that we were doing, and she was on her phone. So there's that, teenagers. And now I'm going to do my usual little sweep through the collection. I'm pulling out pieces that go with the colors mainly. I'm thinking about the colors of the layout what I have going on, which is essentially only pink and green. And then I did think a little bit about some of that deeper navy blue. I thought that would go quite well together. I see this little piece here that says love you, and it had a mustard yellow border, which I did not want. So I thought, you know what, let's just fussy cut that off and then I can use that piece. It's now cream and navy. Perfect. And yeah, just going through all of the collection, all of the little bits and pieces, the elements that I have, puffy stickers, die cuts, etc., and pulling out just the things that I think I'm going to use. I'll push everything else aside, and by limiting my choices, I find that the pages just come together so much more quickly for me. So now that I've gone through all of the embellishments and I've got a bit of a direction for the layout, I am going to find a pattern paper to back my photo in. I end up with this one. It's pretty neutral. There are quite a few bold patterns in this collection, and I just found with all the trees in the background of the photo, none of them really worked great. This one was sort of the best of the bunch. And it's at this point that I was trying to keep it pretty simple, the colors. I was just going to go with the pink, the baby pink, the blue, and the navy. But as I went on, as I was sort of making, it seemed to me to be a little bit flat. It kind of needed something more. And this collection's full of beautiful colors. It's actually a really great one for teenagers. I've done a couple of layouts now with this one and I really love it for teens. So I do sort of fuss here a little bit with these more neutral elements. Yeah, all the soft pinks, a little bit of purple too. There is a bit of mauve in this line. And then just the pops of the navy blue for a bit of depth. I am also actually just letting the design of the cut file help me design my page. I'm just going with the flow of the cut file. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. I'm not trying to think about a design that would work with the cut file. I'm letting it decide where things go. And that's one of the reasons I love working with them so much. It takes away a lot of choices, and I talk about it a lot on my channel. The fewer choices that I have, the better my pages come together, the more quickly they come together, and I feel like they're better pages because of it. So in this case, the cut file runs essentially from the top right hand corner of the layout and spreads out down towards the bottom left hand corner of the layout. And that's exactly the way that my embellishments are going to go. I've positioned my photo in the center, slightly towards the right. I like the subjects in my photos to be looking towards the center of the layout. It's so not a rule, it's just how I prefer it. And I'm just going to let the cut file do all the work for me. It's going to tell me where to add my embellishments. I'm just going to build on it essentially. Adding layers, adding little bits of interest, but keeping the design and keeping the flow of the page totally based on the cut file. So you might have noticed that I did find a couple of extra embellishments. I did go back through the packs and I wanted to pull out some more colors. I was just finding that the ones that I had chosen were a little bit flat and it needed just something a little bit extra. So I did pull out a couple of floral elements. There's a baby blue one at the bottom and then this lovely bright yellow for the top right hand corner of the photo. And then because I've got those two tones, I will want to replicate those around the page a little bit. I also found some really nice leaf sprigs in the ephemera pack and I'm going to use those to fill out that bottom cluster. I'm going to add a couple of little title elements as well. The bottom cluster is going to be the main cluster and it will really anchor the page. And then I kind of ran into a bit of a problem. It was at this point that I realized that the yellow rose there was the only yellow thing on the layout. And that's a problem. So I've got two options. I could take it off and find something else, or I could find some more yellow things. And I decided to find more yellow things. I do go through in a moment here and add in a couple of extra sentiments. First up though, I did find this really cute green sentiment from the cardstock stickers that you'll see here. And it's going to kind of balance out the green on the right hand side of the layout. And then I will find a couple of the yellow pieces, little sentiments, little type sentiments, something that can help tell my story, but also will help add a little bit more balance to the page, because right now, see how that yellow is really just standing out on its own? We don't want that. Okay, so while I work on that, I'd love to know, what would you like to challenge Sue and I with in coming months? Leave a comment in the description box below and let me know, is there a particular technique or product you would like to challenge me to use? If I have it in my stash, I'll be very open to giving it a go. Just want to have a bit of fun with this collaboration and series, and hopefully inspire you to use some of the things that maybe you haven't used in your layouts as well. Of course, I'll also leave a link to Sue's channel in the description box below. She's an amazing scrapbooker, so if you haven't seen her work yet, be sure to check that out. Back to the layout, and I have found a couple of yellow elements that I am going to add towards the bottom of the layout. That's going to balance that out nicely. I am raising them up on foam, and I'm going to sort of nestle them into the layers that I already have, obviously making sure that everything's nice and straight. This yellow piece here ends up being more towards the center right hand side of the layout, and I just found that positioning it up there created a more obvious visual triangle, and then that kind of helped bring everything together really nicely for me. Oh, I do add 3 fussy cut butterflies, which you'll see in the close-up images at the end of the video. And that's going to call the layout done. So if you like the way that I scrapbook, or the way that I chat about the way that I scrapbook, I would love it if you give this video a thumbs up. Be sure to let me know in the comments below if you have any suggestions at all for challenge me, challenge you. I'd love to hear them. Thanks for spending your creative time with me, and I'll see you all in the next video. Until then, bye.